Welcome to Planning Committee on Tuesday, the 7th of April at 7:30. May we start off with apologies for absence, please?
Yes, we have two. We have one from Councillor Fiona Gaskell, who is unable to attend. We have Councillor Beth Fisher, who is substituting for her, and Councillor Jane Ray, who I believe is away on business, and I have Councillor Alistair Ray, who is substituting for her.
Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? No.
Okay, anything that comes to light, please do say.
And the minutes of the 17th of March planning meeting. Is everyone happy with those? Thank you. Okay. Yes, lovely. Okay. There's no chairman's report. Do we have any urgent items?
No, you haven't, Chair.
And any public questions?
No, they're received.
And I assume that this objection will deal with as they appear.
We've not had any that have been sent specifically to us.
Right, fine, lovely. Okay, let's start on page 8 with, we're going to go applications registered weekend in the 13th, the 20th and the 27th of March 2026. Okay, so the first one, the long one, is 5/2026-0129, which is Greenhaven at the Common, Kingsbourne Green.
Okay, we've rounded up a bit. This application is a resubmission following the refusal of an application for the demolition of the existing and replacement with 3 detached properties. This application now seeks replacement with just 2 properties. Currently on the site is a dated dormer bungalow which covers a good sized footprint with the plot's land totalling around 0.15 hectares. It's proposed to demolish this property and develop the plot with 2 detached properties. The area is characterised by properties that are set back from the road with natural screening and grassed areas in front. Properties are well spaced with ample amenity space around. This application looks to address the previous reasons for refusal by reduction in the number of dwellings, revised siting and a reduction in height would ensure a more spacious form of development that is compatible with its surroundings. The siting and orientation of the dwellings, together with their relatively modest ridge heights, would ensure that the development does not result in an unacceptable loss of light or privacy and does not cause overbearing impact to the neighbouring properties. The proposal would deliver a safe means of access with provisions made for refuse collection and fire safety. As part of the application, the applicant will enter into an agreement ensuring appropriate mitigation against any adverse impacts on the Chilterns Beechwood Special Area for conservation. The proposal would not result in the loss of trees or landscaping features. New planting would be provided. The ridge height of the proposed dwellings is around 8 metres, which is a reduction from the 11.5 metres in the refused application. The existing property height is around 8.3 at the highest point. Green Lawns Close, a fairly recent development off the A1081, sits to the east of the plot, just beyond the neighbouring property Pinewood. Properties at this location give a 3-storey appearance and have a ridge height of 8.8 metres. There is natural screening from the common towards the plot and an element of tree screening around. The orientation of the new scheme follows a similar line of properties either side, therefore appears more in keeping than the refused scheme. There is a shared access track to the site. Parking provision is 2 spaces for plot 1 and 3 spaces for plot 2. 1 laurel tree / shrub is to be removed, with 7 new trees proposed along with a landscaping plan which shows planting all around the site. There is a confirmed backed day roost in the demolition property, which will need to be relocated into a back box on the site. That emergent survey was carried out with no sightings. The European Protected Species Licence application must be made to Natural England before demolition can be placed. I've said consider no objection, subject to the previous reasons for refusal being fully addressed. There is actually an objection I picked up today off the District Council website from Pinewood, which is a property that's directly next door. And the sort of salient points from their objection are: our main objection is regarding the access to and from the properties. The application suggests a possible extra 6 vehicles using the shared driveway over the common. We suspected that it could be higher due to there being 2 large houses. Proposed shared driveway, which is 3.6 metres at entry stroke exit point, means vehicle passing is not possible. The existing driveway cannot be widened because it is common land on both sides. Bin collection is also a major concern. At present, bins have to be collected from the end of our drive. If the planning was approved, it would result in a minimum of 6 wheelie bins and at least 3 boxes and 3 food bins blocking the access and egress into the main road on recycling days, as this existing entrance is very narrow, as mentioned above. It's also very difficult for pedestrians to cross the highway to reach Kingsbourne Green Common, as there is no footpath. Many people park in the adjacent car park to walk along to our driveway and across over to the common. Our concern is for the numerous number of families, children, grandchildren, often with dogs, having to do that safely with an increased number of vehicles coming in and out of the new development.
Okay,
Okay.
anyone have any thoughts on this?
It's one more house, effectively, and there's a house already there.
Well, they've reduced it from 3, haven't they, and what was
Exactly.
refused?
Well, 4, looking at it.
No, it was
Three.
just 3. Yeah.
Oh, that, was that a garage then I'm looking at?
Yeah, there was a garage proposed before.
Right, so 3.
So is your point in respect of the bins then and the
Yeah.
increase of the bins and the traffic and the
Yeah.
objection that's been made?
And it's just
Well,
one.
those posts put in that lay-by. Stop people pulling up there.
Sure.
I'm not sure there's a lay-by.
Or like a verge that people get parking.
Oh, right. I think that
Outside
what
there.
they're referring to is actually parking in our car park, which is just on the end. So I think
Okay.
they park in the car park and then because there is no pathway, no
Yeah.
footpath, they walk along the verge, get to their driveway on the left.
Yeah.
And
then
then
cross.
cross over. Yeah.
Because they're coming up from that car park on the corner.
Alistair?
There's not really a reason, is there? Ultimately,
Hmm.
so it's sort of, it's valid, but unfortunately, it's for the parties concerned, it's not a reason to not allow it.
No.
They've addressed all the issues, the heights,
Exactly.
the number of properties.
Yes.
So I have sympathy. But I think
Yeah.
that's kind of,
I think as well, you could have one house with someone who's got maybe 11 or 12 cars. Or you could have 2 houses where they've only got 2 cars each. And so it doesn't necessarily,
Yeah.
dictate,
There's no sort of concerns expressed from the refuse collection department at St Albans.
No.
And they are one of the consultees, so.
okay. Is everyone happy with what Heather suggested, which is no objection, subject to the previous reasons for refusal? request?
Also, you think of bin collections on, terraced houses, on pavements and.
Yeah, it's chaos.
I mean,
So we're happy with
it's
that
not
one.
ideal.
It's not brilliant,
So
but
as Alistair said, I have got some sympathy.
Yes,
It's not-
absolutely.
it's not- I suspect what will have to happen is that there will just be some trimming back, won't there, of that.
I think,
hedge bush,
Just
just
make
to make
place
a bit
for
of room.
yeah,
it's very people driving on the ground will get stolen to the driveway. That's great.
Okay, so we're all fine with that one. So now we're going to 5/2026/0339, which is 15 Rothamsted Avenue. Thank you, Heather.
okay. This property has had a number of applications with similar intentions approved in recent years, but have not been constructed. The last application, which was approved in 2022, was similarly described as this application, with the main changes being this application does not include the provision of a basement, which comprised underground parking, a gym and a cinema room. The ground floor rear extension projects further rearwards. There was a modest 300mm increase in the ridge height to accommodate the proposed loft works, and a detached double garage is now proposed on the front end. Fundamentally, the changes are relatively modest and in some cases are less than what permission has already been granted for. Property is locally listed in the Heartland Conservation Area. However, the design and choice of materials are in keeping with the host dwelling and the surrounding area. I've said consider no objections, subject to compliance with policy 85 of the district plan and policy ESD2 of the nature plan.
Yep. Everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Thank you. All good. 5/2026/0051 will not be discussed this evening. 5/2026/0387, which is 54 Aldi Gardens.
The semi-detached property sits on the end of the line of houses as the road sweeps around. Therefore, there are no direct neighbours to the side of the proposed extensions. Proposal is looking to add a two-storey side extension which marginally protrudes further than the existing front and rear building lines and convert the existing single detached garage, which is located at the end of the garden, into a games room. Ground floor, the extensions will provide open plan living accommodation and a playroom. The first floor extension will provide 2 bedrooms along with the conversion of an existing bedroom into a bathroom. Therefore, the increase is just 1 to total 4 bedrooms. Other properties in the street appear to have made alterations to the properties in various ways. Due to the position in the street scene and the location of other properties, the proposed extensions will not cause any impact on the neighbouring properties. The front garden is to be repurposed to provide 2 off-street parking spaces. Part of the proposal, new fencing around the perimeter taking in the existing garage and driveway space into the garden is proposed. Not conservation area and no tree works are proposed. Consider no objection.
Just out of interest, as a highways lot, because I thought you had a problem with doing drop curves on
I don't think,
curves like that.
they're extending the drop curve.
Okay,
Yeah, I think they have an issue if you're wanting to extend the curve or add in an additional one, but I don't think that they're making any changes.
It's going into the front of the house, or is it going in the back of the house?
What's that? The extension or the?
No, the
car.
driveway, the
That's the
cars.
front.
It's going in at the front.
So there won't be, there's no driveway there now, so there's no.
They're gonna have to put
cars,
something in.
Yeah, maybe they, I mean, they normally, if they are adding in a drop curve, it's normally included as part of the application details, but it's not.
They've been
But
a
if-
bit there, haven't it?
You can apply it later though.
Yeah,
Or just drive up it.
but if they don't currently have a drop curve, and if they wanted to put one in, then I think highways will allow it if they don't already have a drop curve, which.
I mean, they absolutely can't, because that's the front garden and that's when they're going to put their parking, isn't it?
Yeah, because they've got a garage at the back
Yeah,
at the moment.
yeah.
Which looks like they're fencing round, so they won't be using the vehicle.
I thought the rules are now where you can't have a drop curve where it's curved.
I don't know.
Well, they'll
We'll
they'll
soon
find
find
out, won't they?
We will find out.
Maybe if they're watching this, they might go and investigate it.
Come to the next meeting.
Okay, you know.
If you don't binge watch planning meetings, you've got to come by. My only question is, if they put a big fence up on that curve, is it blocking sight in any way? Is that an issue?
Well, they've got
That's the
hedges there
dimension.
now. And they've got a wall
Not big
already.
ones, though, but yeah.
Got hedgy.
Then.
What, the P3 you?
referring to?
P1 shows the hedgy bit, and then the wall is.
Oh, so they want the fence.
Well, I understand it, they're going to put a fence, if you look at P1,
Yeah.
kind of round down the side where the pavement is.
So I think the wall stays the same, doesn't it?
There's no wall there, around here.
I'm good.
No, but they're not planning on aren't they stopping it where the gate is?
Yeah.
Which is on the
I can see
side.
The red dotted line.
So the red dotted line isn't a wall. I think it's just showing
Border.
that's their
Okay.
border.
Okay, then, that's a moot point.
Like there is obviously a brick wall of some sort, maybe that's at the end of the garden then.
Yes,
That is, yeah.
it's the back of the garden,
Yeah.
behind the hedge,
I assume it must be the brick
There you
wall
go.
there.
where the black line is.
Yeah, I think that must be the brick wall, then there must be just like probably a closed board
I mean, what
fence.
they are
And you've
doing
got a
is,
brick wall at the front.
and then they're including the
Yeah.
back of the garden and garage into their brick wall.
It's the guard.
Yeah,
So they're extending their garden over their driveway and putting the driveway around the front, which hence the need for a drop
It
curve.
just says proposal around fencing around the perimeter, taking in the existing garage and driveway space into the garden is proposed. It could go all the way around, we don't know.
But that might be what that little triangle is that they're trying to keep that way clear for visibility.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, is everyone happy with Heather's
Yeah.
recommendation of no objection?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So 5/2026/0388 is not going to be discussed this evening, and 5/2026/0217, which is 8 West Way.
okay, this property is a relatively modest sized dormer bungalow sat between two-storey houses, both of which are much more dominant. Proposal is looking to extend the property to become a two-storey property with accommodation in the roof to a similar scale as the neighbouring properties. The ridge height is increasing from approximately 5.8 to 8.3 metres high. The footprint is not increasing. In fact, a section to the rear is to be removed, thus creating a clear gap down the boundary with the neighbouring property. There is no street scene provided to understand the relationship of the extended property with the neighbouring properties, but the property appears to be of a similar scale and design as the neighbouring properties. Not conservation area and no tree works. Consider no objections, subject to no adverse effect on the neighbouring properties. Policy ESG2 of the neighbourhood plan and 72 of the district plan affairs.
Have got any problems with that?
No.
Okay, that's good, thank you. 5/2026/0351 is 6 Leighton Green.
Okay, property is located next to Waitrose Supermarket car park on one side and number 7 Leighton Green, which is sat on a much further forward building line on the other side. Proposal is looking to extend mostly to the rear, which is not visible from the frontage, with elements of side extension which are obscured by the existing house and with good screening to 3 sides. At ground floor, it is proposed to extend along the side from the existing utility room almost to the boundary and extending 5.5 metres further than the existing rear building line on the Waitrose car park side. The extension is stepped in from the existing side boundary on the side towards number 7 Church Green. The first floor extension do not extend as far rearwards as the ground floor extension, with a 1 metre recessed central section with a green roof on the remaining ground floor projection. The ground floor changes will enable the property to be reconfigured internally to suit more modern day living. The first floor extensions will provide 1 additional bedroom along with dressing rooms and en suites. Garage is retained and there appears to be at least 2 off-street parking spaces available on the frontage. Property is locally listed in the Harpenden Conservation Area. No trees or hedges are affected by the proposals. And I've said consider no objections, subject to the proposals being deemed to be acceptable on this locally listed property in the Harpenden Conservation Area. Policy is ESD2 of the neighbourhood plan and policy 69, 72, 85 and 87 of the district plan affairs.
Everyone happy with that?
One question, I mean, on the artists and play, yeah, they do look quite fundamentally different, doesn't it? They've changed it quite, now, absolutely, doesn't make any change to the front of the house, from what people will see of the front of Leighton Green, I assume, but it is quite fundamentally different. There isn't,
Yeah,
there isn't any problem with the conservation area here, is there? Because it's quite a fundamental change in design.
oh, just the back.
It is just the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think generally they get a bit sort of kind of funny if there's materials and are sort of kind of out keeping all very different, but yeah, it's generally the appearance in the street scene. So I think the fact there's no changes at the front, and that is one of the main reasons why they probably haven't made any changes at the front, is to retain that
Yeah.
character and style.
Yeah,
So this is the fir trees here is Waitrose car park, and then at the back of it is a block of flats that's also blocked by
Yeah.
large trees. So it's only
Yes. Yeah, but it's not very visible actually.
church farm.
if Waitrose car park gets turned into housing at some point,
Yeah,
isn't a local plan.
It is.
Right. I agree, it doesn't look very much.
Are you happy with that then, John? Are you?
Yeah, I just asked the question being the conservation area really, but from what I can think of around there, it won't be very visible at all.
No, not definitely not at the back,
No.
yeah.
It won't be.
Okay,
So that's-
thank you very much. We're all happy with that one. So now we're going to move on to 5/2026/0373, which is 23 Kirkdale Road.
Okay, this application is a resubmission following refusal of a 2025 application for a larger scheme. Property sits at the end of Kirkdale Road on a corner plot that opens out to the side straight rear and does not sit as part of the main street scene of the road. Public footpath runs along the rear boundaries, number 6 Salisbury Road, also to the rear. The current property at ground floor level is made up of lots of individual rooms, and this proposal looks to extend various elements to create a more uniform footprint into the available space of surrounding and to the side. The main changes from the refused scheme being the first floor side extension has been deleted, removing a significant part of the additional bulk that was associated with the refused scheme. Rear extension has been reduced in height and would not now exceed the main part of the existing ridge. The extensive single-storey rear extension has also been removed completely from the scheme, and instead a replacement outbuilding is to be constructed on the existing footprint and at the same height. The garage is lost, but 3 car parking spaces are available on the frontage. Due to the orientation of the plot and the positioning of nearby properties, there appears to be little, if any, detrimental impact on the neighbouring properties or on streets. And arboricultural assessment has now been provided, which details the removal of 2 trees and 1 small group. 4 new trees are to be planted near to the southern boundary. Properties locally listed in the conservation area, but proposed design and materials appear to be in keeping. I would say consider no objection, subject to the previous reasons for refusal being fully addressed. There is actually a letter of support online from number 6 Salisbury Avenue, saying we are the neighbours to the rear of 23 Cockdale Road on the other side of the public footpath, and we write in support of the proposals outlined in this application. Existing house is much smaller than most in the road and in the conservation area generally, and does not take advantage of the large plot. I'm impressed with how the plan sympathetically managed to significantly update and enlarge the property while maintaining the look and feel of the existing locally listed house. The greatest impact of the proposal is to the southern west corner of the existing building, which will predominantly only be visible from our property. As stated before, we feel the design actually improves the balance and scale of the house, is not overbearing or dominant. Privacy between the properties will be maintained. We are happy with how the owners have communicated with us. We hope this application is successful so that works can commence quickly. Yeah.
Any opinions on that either way?
Looking at number 6 is happy, then
Yeah,
That's no good, it's all fine.
thank you. 5/2026 at 0363 and 0476. 0376 and 0464 do not meet the criteria for this evening's conversation, so we move to 5/2026 0398, which is 23 Granby Avenue.
Okay, it is. This application is an almost direct replica, except for some minor changes to window size, of the application that was granted permission earlier this year. It appears the purposes of this application is to confirm some procedural matters. Briefly, the proposal is looking to predominantly extend the rear in the form of a 2-storey extension across the width, which extends rearwards by approximately 3.9 metres, with a further 3.8 metres added at single storey as part of the width of the new extension. First floor element does not extend beyond the existing side building line, and there is a single storey element along the whole side of number 25 Granby Avenue, which reduces the impact on them from the proposals. There's a good gap to the boundary line between the application property and number 21, the 45-degree visibility zone not appearing to be impacted. There's no increase in bedrooms, just size. There's parking on the frontage, no tree works in the conservation area. I said no objection, subject to notice of amenity to the neighbouring properties.
Everyone happy with that one?
Yeah.
Thank you, Annette. 5/2026 0742 does not meet the criteria, so now we move on to 5/2025 1717, which is some land of Balk Close.
It is. Okay. This is the 3rd application that has been submitted on the site since 2021. Both previous applications were for reserved matters with no detail on the proposed development. The first was dismissed on appeal for being inappropriate development in the Greenbelt, causing substantial harm to the residents and significant harm to the character and appearance of the area, with no special circumstances demonstrated for approval to be granted. The second application was withdrawn before determination. This application is for a full planning permission with all associated supporting documentation.
Excuse me.
The application is for 9 3-bedroom dwellings made up of 1 bungalow, 2 detached and 3 pairs of semi-detached dwellings. The mix of houses proposed are of a size that are in need in the town, especially the bungalow that is included. Access to the site is via the existing Balk Close access road. There are 2 parking spaces per property with 4 spaces for visitors, which meets planning policy. The site lies in the Metropolitan Greenbelt, but the applicant is of the view that the site should be considered as grey belt under the changes to the National Planning Policy Framework in December 2024. The site is also detailed as a potential site for development in the emerging St Albans City and District Local Plan, which is currently under review. The definition of greenbelt being land in the greenbelt comprising previously developed land and or any other land that in either case does not strongly contribute to any of the purposes of A, which is to check the unrestricted sprawl of large built-up areas, B, to prevent neighbouring towns merging into one another, or D, to preserve the setting and special character of historic towns in paragraph 143 of the National Planning Policy Framework. Biodiversity net gain assessment has been carried out, which concluded that there will be a total decrease of 81.12% biodiversity of area habitats. In order to achieve the obligatory 10% uplift of area habitats, at least 5.10 off-site biodiversity units must be acquired. Flood risk assessment has been carried out, which concluded the site is at low risk of flooding as it sits in flood zone 1. Tree survey was carried out, but was before the application site had been finalised. Therefore, an arboricultural impact assessment, arboricultural method statement and tree protection plan drawing should be conducted. However, it did detail that it would be necessary for some trees to be removed to enable the development. There are no details of any replacement planting proposed. The meeting of this requirement is to be met through approval conditions. And I've seconded some objections subject to the application being to be compliant with policies SS1, ESD1, ESD14, ESD18 and H1 of the local plan and policy 1 of the district local plan.
Any
Interesting.
local observation?
There are no objections online on it. I mean, in a sense, kind of my viewpoint is based very much upon the changes that have now come in with this grey belt and the fact that this site is very clearly stated in the emerging local plan. So,
And in terms of what was refused before, was it a similar number of properties or was
they
it?
didn't give detail.
Okay.
It was literally like kind of a bit of a scoping opinion. It was just yeah. So I think the descriptions were outline application, just as all matters reserved,
Right.
just as residential development of vacant land to provide affordable dwellings. And then the other one was pretty much exactly the same. But there was no details as to what they were going to look like, the quantity of them or anything.
Where is this?
So if you go down Westfield Road, you've got the Red Cow Pub.
Yeah,
You've got Bulk Close on the left, and
Yeah.
it's literally when you drive down there, it then sort of kind of goes round on itself.
Which
And
is
it's a bit of an
fairly
L
new
shape.
itself.
Pardon?
Bought close is fairly new in itself.
oh, I
It
see.
is,
It's a
yeah.
house down there for my parents, actually. I know where it is now.
Yeah, so as you continue along down the road,
a
you
bad area.
go in and then it goes left.
Cold Harbour
And it's at
Lane.
the end.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
road.
with you, yeah.
Okay, and the,
I'm very sceptical about the assessment of the flooding. Were you going to say that?
Oh, I agree with that, yeah, definitely.
And that's as high as I'm going to put it, because obviously I don't have anything in front of me that would suggest, but I would suspect that quite easily you would get anecdotal evidence from the allotment holders and dwellers around there that flooding is frequent. An issue and something that they are very alive to. So I think saying that flooding isn't an issue and just leaving it at that, I think is.
And even the works that you would get to build all this might even cause more flooding.
Yes.
they do state in the reports that there is the flood zone changes once you get further down.
The river is slightly wider the more you go towards Luton, yeah, and then it narrows as it comes in.
So if this flood risk assessment being carried out, is that by a third party or would that be by them?
So it would be by somebody that's been commissioned by them, but it would be on their behalf. But in theory, you know, at the end of the day, it should be, you know, it has to be conducted correctly, because at the end of the day, if they say that it's not in the flood zone and they start building and then everything's flooded, then you can
They're not going to sell.
sue them. Yeah.
If we, is there any other reason other than the flooding that you disagree with it or you're concerned about it? I'm just wondering if it's something that we can put into the consideration. So subject to actually,
I mean, there's a lovely walk along.
Low
there,
risk of
and I think
flooding.
It's a shame.
Yeah, that's it.
To eat into what we consider a green belt, and it's not, I don't think, in my power, and it's not desirable from my perspective to nibble away at places going, oh, well, it would be grey belt anyway, because actually I strongly believe that grey belt isn't and should never have been an issue. I think that should be
That
green
amount of trees.
belt, and there's lots of trees, there's lots of green there, and I feel that shouldn't be just sort of decategorized by a developer who wants to make some money.
It's also
But-
between two of the sites, opposed to for mass development. So like, you're gonna be building north above it and from the north and
And to
above
the
it,
other
and
side,
south, and
yeah.
join the whole thing together, you'll wipe out quite a large amount of green belt.
Did you, I think you said that it is actually on the Harpenden,
Yeah.
the land to build on.
It is,
From
yeah.
Albans' point of view.
It's one of the sites of, what they called it, it's a, oh God, it's one of like one of the earmark sites.
Essential.
Yeah. can't remember what
So
it is.
are St Albans likely to approve it anyway, subject to flooding? Bear in
Difficult.
mind, they've earmarked it anyway for development. Because I'm just wondering, my question isn't, we should follow St Albans, because
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for. But
If it was going
do we
to,
want to make a stand against it, for example?
if it was going to happen, I'd just say the houses need to be on the other side nearer the railway, not railway, the cycle path. And the road needs to come, because if something's gonna flood, you'd rather a road flood than a set of houses, and they need to come shorter, so there only needs to be the first 5 or 7, rather than sticking them right the way down where gardens are gonna get narrower, closer to the river. I mean, there are houses on the River Lee from here to Wheatonstead, but it's just that risk, isn't it?
It's difficult though, isn't it? Playing devil's advocate on the other
Mhm.
side. With if you look at bulk close, by the looks of the nice tiles on the roof. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Semi
Yeah.
houses built there,
Mm.
Yeah.
all of which are in a much more constrained and sort of, you know, in comparison, I would say this is quite laid out.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and,
They were built on an old builder's yard.
yeah,
Well, is that, so what's gonna happen? Are we gonna, if we said yes to this and they go away and do it, are they actually gonna cram in?
well, they'd have to go back to
Ten
different
plus.
plans.
Yeah.
So I suspect not, because my guess is it's more profitable.
Yeah.
They'll have maximised what the profitability is of doing it, because I don't know, it's £1.5 million house or whatever.
John, what are you?
Doesn't sound very
Well,
forward.
I'm just thinking, I'm being a bit cynical here, but looking at those back gardens in the picture, it's almost as if they're anticipating a level of water.
Mm.
You'll see there's the patio and there are steps back down into the garden
Yeah.
on each one.
They're built up.
And I'm just, I say, being a bit cynical. And it's just an interesting part of the design
Which you don't see often.
that you don't see often. And you do wonder if there is a bit of anticipation there. So I'd share Beth's view that I would be very sceptical about the apparent low risk of flooding. And I think I'd be very surprised about that, but I'm simply getting the technical expertise to gainsay it now. I'm also a bit, was inevitable with this development of the green grey belt is loss of the trees and the greenery, for which there doesn't appear to be any plan already put in place. I know it's part of the conditions, but I really think something like that should be actually part of the application.
Yeah.
You know, particularly in these circumstances where it is eating into the green grey belt. And I was, can you confirm to me, because I was getting confused about this biodiversity net gain business. It confuses me considerably. At least 5.1 off-site units must be acquired. Does that mean they have to plant trees somewhere else?
Correct.
Doesn't have to be somewhere else, it can be within the planned area.
It can be, but generally, if they're going to do it within the planned area, it normally forms part of the planning application. But it's normally a case of if they don't, it's because they don't have anywhere to be able to
Yeah.
offset that amount. I mean, bearing in mind they're putting in 9 properties, so there is a significant amount
Yeah.
of greenery that is being lost that they're needing to. To mitigate,
Plus
yeah.
10% overall.
Yeah. So from that conversation, for me, I think there's 2 things. There's one, do we want to say yes or no to planning on that land full stop? And the other one is if it's yes, what are the caveats that we want to put on there? So better flooding checks, less properties, or etc. So as in, we don't object to being building them, but these are our feelings. So which, because there's 2 quite opposing views there.
Can I just make another point? Sorry, I'm not sure it necessarily interferes with what you've just suggested, but I appreciate that affordable housing is always being discussed, and it's one of those things that people are made to feel terribly guilty about. there are quite a few properties further along towards the Scout Hut that are very often for sale. There's lots of flats there, aren't there, and little houses in Riverbank Close
Yeah.
and things. And very often you see marketing boards up along that road. I've been there a few times for cub stuff. And so I understand that people would love to be able to afford to buy a house in Harpenden and to get that point. But I do wonder whether this is the area that people actually want to live in, considering there are houses that are for sale quite often in and around that area. So it seems to be somewhere perhaps that people initially move to for a little bit, then they get married, pool their resources, and then go and buy something a bit bigger somewhere else maybe, or away from the river, so they're not concerned about flooding. I don't know what their motivation is, but there does seem to be a supply of properties in that particular area. And we're also going to be dealing with a planning application and a discussion about very big
On the other side.
area on the other side, which will run into the hundreds eventually, won't
yeah.
it? So is 9 something that we actually want to destroy a bit of green belt for,
Well, that,
to meet housing demand? Because that's one of the things we're asked to take into account, isn't it?
I mean, I'd be surprised if St Albans say no to this because I think they're on a mission, but I think we just need to make sure we are representing what we think is right for Harpenden, whether that's,
But 9 is a
No.
drop in the ocean. I don't.
it is in comparison to what we're going to get over the next 10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is if you try and suggest that, okay, well, you stick 2 masonettes in place of 1 house, then the cost for that little lane is gonna be way too much.
I still think in the realms of what you can do in Harpenden, it is, they're family homes, they've got reasonable garden, they're in it is grey, not green. Maybe greenish grey, but it's,
Sage.
it's still not, it's not prime green land, I
No.
would thought from the view piece. If you're gonna have to have development, and the government says we're gonna have to have development, it doesn't seem like a bad piece to me. And I think personally, if I was looking at it, I'd prefer lots of things of 9 houses slotting in here, there and everywhere, rather than building 200 houses, which
Yeah.
comes with all of the shake-up that goes with that. So I think personally, I wouldn't say I'm thrilled.
So based on that, Alistair, would you, that was the second of the 2 options that I proposed. What are the caveats you'd want to put on there?
I mean, I think at the moment with it, the biodiversity one, I think is a big one, but that's to come. And it's covered on the bio. So I think I would be happy. I agree with the flooding piece, but there's a little bit of me that goes, that's fine, beware if they've got consultants to sign off, and sure that consultant knows what they're doing. I'm not sure I would be as feeling personally as comfortable.
But it's the knock-on effects for other people. So yeah, the people that buy those houses, caveat emptor, or whatever, you know, they'll have to have insurance, or they'll have an agreement with the people that are building the properties, and you know, that will be as it may. It's the people that are affected down on Cold Harbour Lane the other way, and the people that have allotments which are already suffering from consequences of flooding. That I think is,
As it just keeps draining down.
yeah.
So is that a caveat that we'd want to put in? Then if we said that the knock-on effects of
It
flooding.
shouldn't have much of an effect on flooding down further down, should it?
I know I'm gonna contradict myself, but it doesn't actually show on there, although I can read. That garden might be 3 meters long,
I think they just said square meterage.
which means that the distance from the end of a garden to the actual river might still be 30 meters. Which means in which it's why it ticks the flooding box, because it's far enough away, they're keeping it close to the cycle path or path.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it is a fairly significant site.
It might be that. And it might be that they are just small garden houses.
So they're looking at it's the impact of flooding from the river rather than general flooding.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
flash flooding.
I mean, the positive of it from, is it is in the area where there should be new schools being put, so it should be able to interact with where the new schools are.
Yeah.
Assuming that one of the 2 big development happens, maybe both, then it should have access to doctor surgeries and things like that as well.
Sorry, I'll get my sentence out in a minute. Have there been any letters of objection from the people that own the allotments and or live locally?
Not that's on the district website as of this afternoon. It's not to say that there isn't going to be, because admittedly this is on like the third list in my agenda, which, you know, could potentially mean that there is more time for them to object. But as of today, there aren't, no.
And if there are objections, either on the basis of the things that we've considered this evening or other objections, the district council
We'll see.
will see them and take them into
Absolutely.
account, won't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
okay, yeah. So then maybe I'll just put my little marker down, my little red flag for people about that then, that live in the area.
Yeah.
So what's our answer to this though? What are we gonna, as a stakeholder, what are we responding? Are we saying that, are we saying no objection? Are we saying we don't object to there being some development of this
Just
newly deemed grey site, but we're worried about
consider the
flooding?
Environmental and flooding
Yeah.
impacts.
So they're only suggesting that it should be grey site. It hasn't actually been recharacterised. It's just they're
No, but it is on
arguing
St
that it
Albans.
should be.
It's on St Albans plan for development.
So
Yes, assuming that the inspector.
I don't,
Finds it, yeah.
yeah, I don't think that there is, not like they've done with Greenbelt where land is classified. I think there's kind of this grey belt is determined based on the different sort of kind of characteristics, which I've picked out, or they've helped me to pick out, that points A, B and D are elements which prove that it fits within the green belt categorisation. So into the grey belt categorisation.
Yeah.
So
This is your opportunity to argue green belt as green belt.
Okay,
Under those criteria.
Yeah, so they are arguing that it would be if
Yeah.
it were argued, grey belt.
But I think,
But then there could be a number of people, once they get to know about this, they might go, well, actually, no, it should be green belt.
because there was an application which actually we're waiting for the determination on, which was very, very similar to this, which is for a parcel of land which is next to KWS on Common Lane
Oh, yes.
on the right hand side, and that was on exactly the same basis as this, where that was determined as being grey belt. Waiting for the decision, because that would be very interesting to see how that's determined.
So I'd have a different opinion between the two, because at this point, so that is using up the area, they can go no further.
Yeah.
You can't go over the river, you can't go over, but that's it, it's a point
Yeah.
of usage, whereas that one, you could go, right, we're gonna start adding on to the end of it.
It's a
Continue
creep.
on. Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, almost in favour of using up, poor choice of words, the dead space, so to speak, but yes, it is a green belt, it is a risk of them being so close to the river, but
So what about something along the lines of, we have no objection to building on this, subject to it being correctly deemed as grey belt, and all flooding and environmental impacts
okay.
on the surrounding area, not just
Yeah.
those properties is considered.
Yeah.
Because that, I think that covers
Yeah,
everyone's concerns.
Thank you.
Are you happy with that, Heather?
Yeah.
And then the other bits that you. But I think we need to specifically call out flooding to the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put it together, see what I do, so.
Check that. Thank you very much. So 5/2026, 0451, 0443, 0423, 0434, and 0442, 0467, 0444. Do not meet the criteria for this evening. So our final one is 5/2026, 0433, and it's 12 Hartwell Gardens.
Okay, proposals looking to extend two-storey level over existing.
Yeah.
It's okay. The proposals looking to extend to two-storey level over the existing garage roof to provide another bedroom and ensuite and to reconfigure the existing bathroom. Also proposed a single-storey extension to the rear straight side to expand the lounge. Property sits on a relatively spacious plot with good screening. The road layout does not follow a usual format, with properties sitting on uniquely positioned plots. And the road appears to slope upwards towards number 13, with no overlooking windows to be affected by the proposed first floor extension. There also appears to be a number of other properties in the street which have been extended over the garages. There is ample parking provision with a double garage and 2 off-street parking spaces. No tree works and not conservation area, no objection.
Run with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Good properties. Any appeal decisions?
Yeah, so there's a couple of appeal decisions, one which is for 8 Hawthorne Close. We didn't actually provide a comment on this one, but that was, the appeal was dismissed. So they've obviously agreed with the district council for reasons for refusal. The next one, 15 Swansea Avenue. So we actually have no objections, subject to no loss of immunity to neighbouring properties, etc. District refused it due to insufficient information to prove that there was no loss of light to the neighbours, and the appeal was allowed. So we
We're in line with us.
we're in line, yeah, with them. And then the other 2 are just notifications. 2 applications have gone with the appeal, so we'll obviously wait for their decisions. Interestingly, one of them being 39 Topfleet Way, which is an application which we keep on getting back all the time because
Oh, the one next to the allotment.
that's it, yeah, next to the allotment access. So we'll
Oh, yeah.
we'll wait. and
Is
see.
there a builders actually called Nobody Builders?
I believe that they are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad to agree with you, but yes. That's how I know.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just really to update the committee on the decisions, for this one, number 54 Groundwood Park, 56 Groundwood Park, so to demolish the 2 existing properties and replace with 3, that was granted. Right, that's been granted commission, and then I think that was all I had pictorially, but an interesting one just to kind of keep you in the loop with is number 6 High Street, which is the old M&Co building.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Oh, hang on, we had a couple of applications. So there is a prior approval went in for the change of use for the 1st and 2nd floor to be flats. So they put in, yeah, so they put in a prior approval.
Get the balcony out the back, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that.
And then
that
ground
was
floor left as a retail.
ground floor left as a retail unit, and then the 1st and 2nd floor to become 4 1-bedroom flats. The prior approval has been refused because it needs to get full planning permission. So we'll wait and see when that comes forward, but just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on the
So
potential
what, so it
future.
would be a shop or whatever downstairs,
Yeah.
but then flats upstairs.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so
Probably she's sensible, really.
exactly, yeah, because I think it's clearly been
Quite an
demonstrated.
interesting
that
size retail unit if you can't do a lot with it.
It's just,
Yeah.
I think it's been, clearly shown that it's to be financially viable. It needs to have that additional space up on the 2nd floor, which they're just not going to get permission for. So
Yeah.
And it needs to be done with it. It's time to interior.
it is, yeah. I mean, it's quite an old building anyway, isn't it, to be honest?
We'll finish for the week.
Yeah. I
We
think
should look
so.
at next.
And the next meeting's on Tuesday, the 28th of April.
Which I cannot make.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Sam said he might not be able to make it either.
Oh,
He's
yes,
got
it's
exams.
exam, yeah.
I don't want to wonder, but
But we'll just clarify this then.
So I will ask for a,
If anyone's able to step in, that would be lovely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And then
Oh,
I'll.
can you?
Well, I'll put it in the document.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Would you be happy to chair?
I can also, if it's their business.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
This is where I then got you.
there.
Make decisions on
Right,
it.
okay.
I want to ask, I'll see if I can get someone else.